Alright guys, so after I sanded all the floors down, I decided to go with an oil finish instead of polyurethane. Really happy I did. It came out awesome, as you guys can see. So oil finish basically is, it's not as durable as a urethane finish, but it's also a lot more beautiful. It's more natural, and what happens is instead of the urethane that goes over and kind of forms a plastic shell over the floor and gives it that plastic look, oils penetrate into the floor and they protect every single fiber inside the floor, and then they harden. So like the first a couple layers inside the wood is hard. Um, People say that oiled floors get more beauty with age, and urethane floors look they're most beautiful when you first install them. So yeah, so like the oiled floors get like a patina over time, and they kind of get those little dimples in them and the old rustic look. And another thing about oiled floors is that they're really easy to repair if you get scratches. You guys already know, if you've dealt with polyurethane or urethane finishes, that if you get a scratch on it, you can't just polyurethane over it. It'll leave a gully in there. It's the same exact way as working with like a scratch on a car. It has to be fully sanded out, and the whole panel has to be painted and blended into the surrounding areas in order for the floor to look uniform again. Oil is not like that. Oil, if you get a big scratch, you can sand it out on one plank and just reapply oil on it, and it will look exactly the same way it did. That's due to the oil being inside the wood, and not being able to leave like a big valley in the floor after it gets scratched. Um, so yeah, and ultimately at the end of the day, the more scratches and little dimples your oil floor gets, and the more you recoat it, the more you get that nice patina look to it. But yeah, so I'm really happy how this came out. So what you do is you sand the floors down, get all your old finish off, or just get the surface ready if it's a unfinished wood. And my last sanding on here was a 220 grit, going with the direction of the grain. And once you get it so everything feels like butter smooth, you just vacuum up, clean up all your dust with like a kind of like a dampish rag or whatever you have to do, and then you take like a sock and soak it with whatever type of oil you're going to use, and you just start from one side and just wipe all the oil in so it's like sopping in there. You don't do a thin coat. The boards need to absorb the oil, so you put a heavy coat on over the entire floor, and then you let it sit for about a half an hour, 45 minutes, and if you want, you can go over and put another layer until you feel like the boards have absorbed the amount of oil that they're going to take in. And then once that's done, you can go over with a dry rag and just wipe the entire floor down. After that, the floors sit for about 6 hours, and they get that rock hard finish inside the wood. But really, I mean, I was walking around on these floors like an hour after I did them. Once the oil is absorbed into the floor, um, I mean, that's it. It's not like urethane where it's like paint where you can like step on it and damage it. I mean, if you walk on it immediately after you do it, you're gonna get like little oil prints of like from your feet. But those go away. But I wouldn't recommend doing that. I would recommend just doing it and letting it dry, a few hours before you start putting stuff on here. Like I let this floor dry like an hour and a half before I started like laying the rugs and stuff back on. But um, that's only because I don't really have time to do that. But it came out awesome. It just makes like the knots in the wood look like 3D. See, now before, the other finish that was on here, you couldn't even see any of this wood grain at all. It was all covered up by the polyurethane. You see, I got my snowboard in here. I'm about to build a snowboard rack on that back wall above the door so I can hang my snowboard on there. But yeah, all in here. The floors were finished. Got more movies in here from my storage unit. You know, went shopping and filled the pantry with food. You know, I showed you guys, got the coffee makers and stuff. I'm slowly getting ready to get out of here. I just did the sink with a stainless steel polish. And I'm going to use these on my tank directly to the floor instead of using the wooden frame that I made. I'm going to take that all off. And I'm just going to use these directly bolted into the floor with the straps over it. There's the mat I told you guys about. I don't know if I showed you guys that in the last video or if it was too dark, I don't remember, but there's the mat. So this is what I'm doing today. The floors were yesterday. So yeah, so I'm taking all this coming out, getting laid on the back. The propane tank's gonna get mounted underneath the bus today. All this rack is gonna come out. You know, I'm gonna rehook up all of this, the water tank, and put these into the floor where I want them, and take off that wooden rack. And then I'm gonna build around that. I'm gonna build something around that. But yeah. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I got a new crock pot set. That's not where it's gonna be left because I don't really have like much space to leave that, but I'm gonna store that away until I want to use it. I cook with crock pots a lot. Make different types of stews and things like that, so that'll just be stored away until I'm gonna use it. But yeah, the floors came out amazing, as you guys can see. Really happy I went with the oil finish. Yeah. I mean, look at that. Man, that just looks so beautiful right there. It was so easy to do. I mean, so much easier to do than polyurethane. Polyurethane is a nightmare compared to doing this, and these look way nicer than polyurethane. I got the cat like kind of hanging on the handle. I feel better with him like that. He doesn't mind the harness. I feel better with him like that, with the door open. Even though he's never tried to jump out, and you know, you can't ever trust that because birds can be out there and he can be in one of those feisty playing moods and just decide to take a leap out the door real quick, and then I'll be chasing him down the street. But hey, buddy, how do you like your life preserver? This is the coolest cat. I mean, I'm telling you. He's just a little furball, but, you know, he's only like, he just turned 2. I had him since he was like 4 days old. I bottle fed him, and he's been with me every day. He's awesome. What's up, buddy? Yeah, he's just a good cat. I love this cat. Yeah, so like I was telling someone in the video, so for the cat, you put a cable from the front of the bus all the way onto the ceiling, all the way to the back of the bus, and that way I can attach his leash, and he can, you know, go up and down the bus, and, you know, kind of like to the windows and to this side. But that's it. He can't jump out the window. He can't do anything. But, you know, the cable with the leash attached to it allows him to go up and down the bus. So, you know, that's what I'm doing. Just so when I'm at where I'm going, I can have the bus with all the windows open, and you know, the doors open, and not have to worry about him getting away. So that's what I'm doing. But, all right, guys.